And we are live, guys. Welcome to another live stream from Men of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling. Today we're talking about porn, and we're talking about the emotional need for porn when it comes to masculinity or for men in general. So, what do I mean by that? Well, first of all, we've got to realize that there's a reason why men struggle as much as they do. There's a reason why men have this thing, and because they have this thing, it just is so easy to push the button and then watch porn. And unless you haven't noticed, that creates over time an exponential growth curve that is really difficult to fight off. Like literally worse than any smoking addiction or alcohol addiction or anything like that. It becomes worse than that. Like literally you cannot stay away from porn. It's like impossible, blah blah blah. And then you have to ejaculate and you can't practice semen retention, and it's so difficult. And the younger you are, the more hard it is, right? Because you are still in your femininity. So let's explain this phenomenon. First of all, our sex drives, our motivation for life comes from our sperm production. Someone who doesn't have a sperm production but who's still a man is not really a man, in the sense that he doesn't have the drive to achieve something. He doesn't have the motivation to make huge things happen. And when you and we've been given this power, this motivation, this drive, this exponential power, if you will, for a reason. Like, if we did not have this drive in us to see naked women and to have sex with them, then nothing in the world would be accomplished. The reason why is because women are designed differently than men, in the sense that they are automatically good. 100% pure. Now, you might say, oh, no, but they're not, blah, blah. Just hear me out, man. You've got no idea what I'm trying to say here. They're 100% pure when they're put in the correct environment. I'm talking now about femininity. And if they're in the right environment, then they actually naturally care about others. So if they see someone's need, they will naturally go and help them and do the right thing. When it comes to men, however, they actually need to be trained because they're neutral. They're not good and they're not bad. They're simply neutral in the sense that they are able to not care. That's part of masculinity, to not care. And this comes to us when we develop our sperm production and hit puberty. If you haven't noticed, we naturally do not care. And we have the potential to care a lot, right? Because the more feminine we are, the more we will care about everything and care about it in the now. What am I trying to say here? I'm trying to say something. So from the get-go, we all start out feminine as children, all of us, because you got no sperm production going on. So in the beginning, we're completely feminine, both boys and girls, and that's how we also start out in, growing in the belly of our mothers. And then we come out, we've got the exact same sperm production, the exact same testosterone levels as girls do. But then there's a change that happens. At the age of 9, we begin to develop testosterone. We begin to develop sperm production. We begin to develop some kind of form of motivation and like intensity that girls do not have. Because of this, it's kind of like when you're raising kids, the boys are actually more difficult to take care of, and they rebel a lot easier than girls do, during those early years. And then as they grow up in their teenage years, they become a little bit easier to be around, unless they begin to remain in their femininity. And what do I mean by that? Once you get your sperm production, you have your sperm production, and it optimizes the masculinity process, meaning that your brain is going to be functioning properly. The signals of dopamine levels and testosterone and having like massive motivation and happiness all of the time will naturally happen as you grow up, as you actually stay disciplined in those sexual matters. If you, however, and this is what most guys do in their teenage years, begin to masturbate and you begin to ejaculate and let go of the thing, the actual thing that makes you a man, the actual thing that increases your testosterone, the actual thing that actually makes your brain work function properly towards manhood and towards godhood, then you are remaining emotionally unstable and your reproductive cycle begins to happen all of the time, depending upon how many times you ejaculate. So I made a video about this called men's reproductive cycle. Women have a reproductive cycle. It's way more intense than men's, but men also have a reproductive cycle in the sense of they get rid of their sperm and then they now have to do it again. Like the sperm production has to start again, but this time it's actually in hyperdrive, meaning it's working and producing faster than is necessary, which means that it's more difficult to control, which means that you're more emotional than you would normally be. But emotional in the sense of now, becoming a now creature and being basically like a girl. So if you're in your teenage years and you can't control your semen retention process because I have to watch porn and I have to ejaculate, then you are still a girl. You can't control it. I can't control my emotions. Understand that that's feminine because femininity can't control their emotions. Women are not able to control their emotions over a long, consistent period of time. They actually have to let it go. So in the same way, if you are developing if you are trying to become a man, it is a really bad idea to ejaculate. It's a really bad idea to let that energy, that motivation, that life force that was designed in you to motivate you and to fire you up outside your brain and to actually give you happiness on a continual, consistent basis, then obviously you're going to have emotional issues and emotional problems, right? Like that's a normal thing because what you're creating, you're going actually against nature when you ejaculate all of the time. People out there in the mainstream say that, oh no, it's according to nature because that's what the body wants to do. So you've got to let it go. Not so fast because men and women are different. Women were designed to actually not control themselves because of their intense emotions. It needs to be vented out on a consistent basis or else they'll explode, right? But in terms of men, they were designed to become disciplined, to actually be focused on something continuously for a long period of time. And that motivation comes from the sperm production. But if you put it in hyperdrive, you're going to have issues. And that's what you do when you ejaculate consistently because you're telling your factory, we need more production. We need to produce more sperm. And that's going to destroy the equilibrium in your brain. And if you do that consistently for a long period of time, obviously it's going to have damaging consequences. And that's when you begin to notice, oh, erectile dysfunction. That's when you begin to notice, oh, I'm anxious and I'm doing this and oh, I'm so emotional. And that's when you begin to notice that, why am I not motivated? Why am I so lazy? Why do I procrastinate things all the time? That's based on you not having controlled your sperm production. That's based on you not allowing your body to develop the optimal sperm production cycle because you continuously put it in hyperdrive. And if you do that, then you're going to remain in your femininity and still have issues with emotional stability and masculinity. What does that have to do with porn? Okay, I'm coming to the whole point of this. Men are designed in such a way to become fired up outside their brain from seeing naked women and being able to control yourself in the presence of beautiful women who are naked and who are doing sexual acts. Preferably, and this is how nature designed it to be, those women are supposed to belong to him and to him alone. If you haven't noticed, masculinity is all about property rights. This is mine, okay? Like what you see here is mine. What you see over there with you is yours. Don't touch what's mine. This is my property. Don't even look at my property. Do you understand what I mean? Like, that's the masculine thing. Now, I don't care when guys check out my wife, right? Because I know they can't control themselves. And I understand that that's just how it is. However, from a masculine standpoint, I don't want any man to begin to flirt with my wife, because my job is to protect her emotions. My job is to make sure that she doesn't get rejected. My job is to make sure that she's happy all of the time. And that's when you begin to see what the emotional need for porn, because you combine the aspect of, I want to see naked sexual acts, but I want to be the one in the game. I want to be the one performing the sexual acts with my beautiful women who are mine. However, like, that's what nature designed it to be, for me to be motivated outside my brain, to move massively towards becoming financially independent or creating a home of some sort that I've created, that and that an environment that I've performed and put in place, so that I could have my women and have sexual acts with my women, and then be able to have those women in a committed relationship for the rest of my life and enjoying porn on a quasi daily basis. Because it's an emotional need. It's put in us for a reason. However, when you mix that with femininity, when you put your sperm production in hyperdrive, we're going to have problems. We're going to have femininity. We're going to have, oh, but I have to express my emotions. You want to stay in your femininity. You're staying in your femininity. When you do that, you actually are not able to be disciplined and control yourself when you're supposed to be controlling yourself. And what ends up happening? You begin to watch girls that are being screwed over or screwed by other men. And you're okay with that. Like, obviously, those women are not necessarily that guy's property, but in the subconscious brain, that's what's going on. The subconscious brain is completely open at any given time. The more feminine you are, meaning the more you do not control your thoughts and control what actually is allowed to come inside the subconscious brain. This is all from Think and Grow Rich, guys. Napoleon Hill, he explains the subconscious mind in a perfect manner. The subconscious mind is completely open and does not distinguish between false and truth. It just accepts it, and that becomes your belief system. And that becomes what you choose to do in your behaviors throughout the day. Your subconscious mind is critical. And if you don't learn how to control your thoughts, what's going to happen? You're going to allow anything and everything to enter into the subconscious brain and begin to that's going to choose your behaviors, because your subconscious mind works consistently all of the time and is what actually drives. Once you learn how to control your thoughts and your discipline and what actually comes into this subconscious mind, you're now able to have your subconscious mind remind you of the things that need to get done according to your schedule and according to your desires long term. Not just in the moment. My subconscious mind is telling me to look at beautiful women. My subconscious mind is telling me that, oh, now I'm anxious and now I've struggled because of the wars of life and it's so difficult. I'm supposed to be with my women now and enjoy porn. Property, it's supposed to be inside with your women, and because you fought out there for 8 to 12 hours building a massive business, and you're supposed to come home now and enjoy porn basically with your women, that you managed to get over time because of your discipline, because of you being masculine, because of you managing to attract them and commit to them, and they committed to you in order to create an amazing family for the rest of your life. But you're living in a world now, or in your current circumstance, you don't have those 3 women. And yet, because you go out there, or you are staying at home all day and being depressed and stuff like that, I'm supposed to now be comforted by my women. And since I don't have women, you know what? I'm just going to go online, because it's so easy to get my fix. It's so easy to now watch the porn that I have an emotional need to have. And I now don't care about property rights because I want to watch porn. Do you see the connection of what's going on here? God put in an emotional need for porn in your brain. You're supposed to have porn, but you're using it in the wrong way and rewarding yourself too early, and you're having immediate gratification. What happens? You end up, when you get your fix, you become depressed. You become, oh, but I'm still lonely. Like, oh yeah, that was fake. That wasn't yours. And it wasn't even freaking real. It's not even in your living room. So men know from an inherent side of things that porn is not good for the soul. Porn destroys me, right? That's why the NoFap movement is building so fast. That's why the semen retention movement is also going to exponentially grow over time. And people are going to understand that semen retention is the way of life for men. So never ever believe mainstream who's telling you that masturbating and ejaculating is actually good for men. It's not good. It's making you into a woman over time. Okay, now if you manage to be disciplined and masculine in every single other area of life, well, I build a business, and I exercise on a continual basis, and I do this, that, and the other, and I'm disciplined, I'm masculine, and then you still ejaculate like every 2 or 3 days, whatever it is, you're progressing towards masculinity, and then you're stunting your growth again, and your discipline and your potential by ejaculating. Like, so you're basically choosing, like, I'm going to take a step forward or 2 steps forward, and then my ejaculation is going to. Why don't you align your human processes to go? Okay, saying my connection is unstable, so let's hold on a second. Why don't you allow your systems in your body to go in one direction together towards masculinity? That's where we're going. But then you have to align all of the principles of masculinity, which are the following, some of them at least. Porn is an emotional need, meaning monogamy sucks. I'm not designed to have monogamy. And if I understand what monogamy does to a man's need for porn, you become monogamous because that's what religion told you to do when you want to get married and have a family. What you didn't know was monogamy sucks sexually. It sucks. So you enter into monogamy, you're not getting your emotional needs met, which is to have porn, right, with your women who are yours, and you're supposed to enjoy the rewards of life from actually having gone out there and being disciplined all the freaking day. And then you come home, and then you're being nagged, and then you're being told to do the dishes, and then you're being told to do this. And because the wife is completely exhausted from the day, she has no capacity, and she doesn't even want to touch you. Like, that's monogamy because of a woman's burdens. Once the woman becomes unburdened and is allowed to remain in her femininity with her estrogen levels being very much heightened by being with other women all day, and preferably her best friends forever, so she doesn't get into arguments and difficulties and blah, 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 blah with them all of the time, that's what 3 Girls in Love sets up for you. 3 Girls in Love. If you haven't researched it or understood what I teach on this channel and on the Girls of High Value channel, then research it and understand it, but not for you to practice it now, because it's way too early and you're rewarding yourself too soon by adopting 3 Girls in Love into your life right now and making it a reality right now. Because if you do, most probably you're going to lose it. And then you're like, I had it, and then you lost it. Or I have it, but they're fighting all the time. Yeah, why are they fighting? They're only fighting because of your ignorance, because you don't understand how to set up the system. And that's why it's critical to understand this, so that you can set it up once and for all and have it for the rest of your life in terms of porn. Because that porn, when you're able to control yourself and actually practice semen retention and not ejaculate ever, by having ejaculation control, but having those women in your life, that creates an exponential growth of motivation and being fired up. Okay, just from a standpoint, ask yourself this question. If I had 3 women who I loved and had like deeply loved, okay, and they deeply love you and they live in harmony once, with each other because of you've managed to put that environment in place, and then they have kids with you, and those kids now have 3 mothers, and it's you, and you've already created some form of a business already, and you're also still practicing semen retention, meaning you don't ejaculate ever. Why? Because you want your brain to have optimal brain function and work towards discipline and focus and all of the masculine things that you were designed to do. Like, and then if you're like saying like, oh yeah, but I want to ejaculate. Yeah, you want to ejaculate, but you don't understand the power of pleasure and orgasm without ejaculation. But I don't want you to focus on that right now because it's not time yet. Don't edge. Don't. Okay, so again, I'm talking now about establishing this picture and then having it for the rest of your life. Could you imagine that? Because if you can imagine it, you are the one who will be able to become one of the greatest in world history. Do you understand that? How fired up would you be having that environment? Why do you think you get fired up by that? It's because it's nature. It's how the world was designed to be, for men to be completely disciplined and focused, and then being rewarded with his own porn because it's his and it's not someone else's. So when you're watching porn, you're actually stealing from another man. Continual basis. I'm stealing, and it becomes a habit. I'm still stealing. And then you become depressed and you wonder why. Because it's not yours. Okay, so I'm I'm describing this very deeply now. But my point is this. I had one of my clients send me alpha male strategies, whatever Instagram account, right? And it was a picture of a girl in like panties. Okay, like obviously beautiful picture, thin, beautiful girl, in panties or bikini or whatever it was. And then it was like some alpha male strategies, and you need to blah blah blah. And like obviously there are some things on there that's correct, right? Because I've learned a lot of the stuff that I learned about female nature from those player sites and those guys who are seducing women and all that stuff. I'm completely against what the players are doing. Absolutely, completely. I believe that you should only ever sleep with someone who you're committed for life for. Okay? You should never ever. That's the masculine thing to do. If you're feminine, you're going to want to sleep around because you're a now creature. You're not thinking about the long-term system and your long-term problem. That's not masculine to sleep around with tons of girls. The masculine thing to do is to be voluntary celibate, disciplined, focus, building up your financial foundation, and then when you're ready, when you're financially ready and you've understood the woman and her psyche, then you can enter into responsible polygyny because you know what you're doing and you know how to retain them. But you don't need to sleep around in order to get them. Actually, it's the opposite effect. You're more trustworthy towards their fathers if you have been a virgin, or if you've stuck it out building your business without focusing on women at all. So yeah, the point is, the guy, the client sending me that picture, and like immediately my brain and my sperm production increases. Oh, vroom, 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 and I'm seeing something that does not belong to me. I'm being stimulated by something that does not belong to me. That's a problem. And I need to control my thoughts, control my thinking, control my disciplines, and control my urges. And that's why I reminded him that maybe you should unfollow that profile, because it's actually stimulating you. And that's kind of like porn. And it's not yours. It's not your property. So stay away from it. This is completely against the message of the mainstream, right? But like whenever it comes on, so what is porn? Porn is whatever comes on that stimulates you in a sense, like that's naked. Okay, anything that's naked, just don't watch it if you can get to that point. You want to get to a point over the next 90 days when you're practicing semen retention where you don't watch any images, any videos, anything that has scantily clad women on it. You decide what you watch. You control your thinking. You decide to reject it. I'm not going to have that in my subconscious mind. Get it out of my system. Get it out of my vicinity and my environment. Produce an environment where you are not overly stimulated so that you cannot control your urges. If you're following any women on Instagram that ever put out bikini pictures or anything like that, you take it away. Unfollow. It's one button away. I have an Instagram account. I very rarely get scantily clad women on my Instagram, so it's not a problem for me. So when he sent me that message with that bikini girl, I was just like I don't want to watch this. I haven't seen this before. And I asked him very nicely if he could remove it. So, but that's my whole point, is that you need to create an environment where that emotional need for porn is not woken up. You need to have that latent power and just allow your semen production to work on its own optimal frequencies. When you do that, then your discipline is going to be absolutely amazing and focused and correct. And then eventually understanding property rights, understanding that your emotional need for porn and your drive to get it by setting up your financial foundation, amazing things are going to happen. So let's do some questions. Can you guys explain the questions or make, give me some more? Okay. My friend said this same thing to me when I was in elementary. Cool. Probably about yeah. Porn is a whore from hell sent from the pits to swallow men whole. Yeah, you could say that, but it's still an emotional need. But again, property rights. Don't watch something or someone that's not yours. And like, why would you want to do that to yourself? Do you know anyone that's ever applied 3 Girls in Love for research? Lol. Have they applied it the way that I explain it? Probably not. There are some guys that do it that I haven't been able to get in contact with. They just don't respond. They're probably busy. But the point is that it's, as long as you just understand the system and its perfection, you don't have to like, you can research it more. But the whole point is that this 3 Girls in Love system could not be in place before now. It's only in the past 20 years that we actually understand female nature because of the internet. It's only because of the last 50 years of feminism that we can actually apply 3 Girls in Love, because polygyny has been illegal forever. Now it's not illegal to live with your 3 women, right? Cohabiting with 3 women. Some countries you might be persecuted, but in most countries they're not going to do anything to you. So this is the first time in the last 2,000 years that we've actually, been, or last 1,500 years that we've been actually allowed to practice polygyny freely in our homes. So do we know anyone who's practiced 3 Girls in Love? Probably not, because it's a new thing. It's kind of like saying, do you know anyone who's gone into space? No, I don't. Yeah, it's because it's a new thing. Like, the research has gotten us this far, but it hasn't taken us to the other side of it, right? That's what 3 Girls in Love is. It's basically space. All right. So 3.5 weeks semen retention here. I successfully edged a few days ago playing with fire. Yes, and can you say successfully? I would say edging is like, the moment you edge, you're going to, yes, play with fire, but not only that, you are encouraging the sperm production. And so you're massively putting now forth the sperm production, which makes it so that you can't focus, you can't control your thinking for the next few days or weeks. So that's why I highly recommend staying away from edging at all. So anyway, that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. Hope you have a fantastic day. Make sure you subscribe, like this video. There's tons of things that I could say on this, but most importantly, remember, is it your property? And if it's not your property, then stay away from it. But understand that you have an emotional need for porn, and monogamy, unfortunately, is not going to solve that emotional need. So understand what Three Girls in Love actually is, guys, because that's going to revolutionize your thinking, your motivation, your drive, and your passion to not procrastinate any longer. And if there's one last thing I can say to you guys, the biggest reason why you're relapsing is because you're not working 8 to 12 hours outside of your home. That's the number one reason why you're relapsing. You wouldn't relapse out there, right? You wouldn't relapse in front of other people, right? So get yourself in front of other people for 8 to 12 hours every single day so that you simply forget about it. And when you come home, you're exhausted and fall asleep like this. That's what I wanted to share. I'll see you guys in the next one. Okay, fine. Alejandro asks, can you recap the steps for masculinity? Yes. Number one, allow yourself to be led. Okay, that's kind of feminine, but it's actually masculine when you understand the big picture. You know, masculine is like, no, I can do this on my own and blah, blah, blah. Masculinity is for you to be free to completely do whatever it is that you want and rebel against anyone who's leading you towards tyranny or anything that's opposite to freedom. But if you're being led by someone who is allowing you to be free and you're being led in the direction of your dreams, then masculinity is to understand that I should allow myself to be led by someone who knows more than me, because that's gonna fuel my progression. So that's rational. It's actually feminine to believe that you're able to do all of this on your own because you're absolutely amazing. No, you're not. Okay, you suck if you haven't achieved your dreams yet. You suck. I suck, because I have dreams still that I need to achieve. Everyone sucks who haven't achieved their dreams. And that means that we need to allow ourselves to be led by those that already have what we want, if that makes sense. So yes, allow yourself to be led. Number two is leading yourself, which is kind of what you have to practice in the beginning immediately anyway. Control your thoughts, control your emotions, control your behavior, and become emotionally stable like this. Not being all over the place emotionally, and I don't know why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. Masculinity, lead yourself. Choose your attitude. Become at least an 8 consistently all of the time. There's no reason to one day be 6 and then one day be 2 and then one day be 5 and one day be 3. Like, no, why? Stick at an attitude independent of circumstances around an 8 or 9. Alone, single, you can do that. And then eventually, probably you're going to create exponential joy and happiness in the 10 area once you are applying all of the principles. Number 3. Okay, so number 1, allow yourself to be led. Lead yourself. Lead others. That's masculinity. Leading others in a business. Build a business where you can replace yourself and your efforts by you leading them and leading a team towards the vision and the destination that you've created. Having a job is feminine if you stay in that job forever. Masculinity is having first and foremost, having your own job where you choose which jobs you take on. And then eventually the fullness of masculinity is capitalism, the way that God is a capitalist. He's an all-loving, genius, powerful capitalist who has other people working for him. Same way, if you want to become like that, perfection in masculinity requires for you to be able to lead thousands of people, 10,000s of people, 100,000s of people. And may I make a guess? You're not there yet. So you're not masculine enough, and you'll never be masculine enough, which is great, because perfection, we're not going for perfection. We're going for continual increase in excellence, one small step at a time. Move exponentially towards it. And number 4 is lead women. That comes after all of the other 3, after you've replaced yourself in your business. Then we can begin to understand, all right, so women, hey, we understand female nature and we understand how to attract 3 best friends forever into our lives so that we can retain them forever. And once we've managed successfully to retain them for a few years, step number 5 is lead kids. That's the Men of High Value system. And that's the 5 things. So anyway, hope you guys are having a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next one.